Alright everyone, here is the Armor Brigade 2 announcement trailer. I'm going to watch it with you, kind of do a live reaction, but I'm also going to compare it to Armor Brigade 1, which we're going to take a look at that gameplay footage right here. And there's a lot, an absolute lot to compare between the two. There's been massive improvements, and I really want to showcase those all to you. I have around 100 hours in Armor Brigade, so seeing all of this really makes me wonder how the gameplay is going to play out, seeing the troop movement, seeing the cluster munitions, the smoke, the new A10 models, and the whole 3D environment looks really amazing. So those helicopters, I really want to talk about those helicopters. As you saw, they're moving up and down, and I hope they're kind of getting away from that Cold War tactic of like bobbing up and down. That's how they are in Armor Brigade 1. We'll talk more about that in this portion of the video, and we're going to toggle back and forth between the two, Armor Brigade 1 and the trailer. So let's take a look at Armor Brigade. This is what we currently have. Armor Brigade, despite what people think, is a 3D game. So if we click on this ISO view, as you see, there is a 3D environment. There are hills. If you take a look at this lower map right here in this right-hand corner where all these blue lines are, you can see that there's hills, there's different elevations and gradients. We are playing on a mod map. This is Gettysburg. For some reason, I wanted to put a bunch of main battle tanks and infantry fighting vehicles and fight over Cemetery Hill. I thought that would be a lot of fun. Also right here you see we have two markers for dual purpose improvised cluster munitions. We're going to compare those to the trailer and see how they look. I know how they look in the game, but I want you guys to see them. And then as you see, during the trailer you can get really low and kind of move the camera around. I hope that's not just like a developer thing to create trailers. I really hope they include that camera in the game to create some awesome cinematic shots. Over here we click on air support. Right here we do have a CAS, an A10 from the looks of it. That's going to come in at some point. We're going to call it in pretty much almost immediately. And then we have some gunships we're going to take a look at and compare those models to the Armor Brigade 2 trailer. So like I said, the first thing I really wanted to talk about was this ISO view, because this is absolute. I thought this was the coolest thing ever. But when you compare it to this opening ISO view right here, like this alone, if you play a lot of Armor Brigade, is kind of game changing in my opinion. Especially if you can get that low in this 3D environment and kind of path through these mountains and get some cool cinematic shots. Obviously, Armor Brigade 2 is already 3D, but this looks like to be an absolutely massive hill. I want to see how that plays out. And then I really enjoyed this top-down shot, the tracers and everything like that. And then it kind of speeds through. So this is something that's interesting. So this is the new cluster bomb animation. We're going to compare that with our A10. As you see, it's flying pretty low. What would you say? That's like 3,000-4,000 feet. I don't really see an enemy unit down there, so I'm interested to know how this mechanic changed. So if you play a lot of Armor Brigade, you'll know that the way air support works is you kind of click on it and you designate a location. And then you have these two circles. You have your suppression of enemy air defense, which is your outer circle. And then you have your close air, or your CAS, your close air support circle. So we're going to set that right here, and then what it does, it says it's inbound, but it gives you a timer right here. So if we zoom way in, as you see, we have a timer, 4 minutes and 11 seconds, and then you can't really dictate where that aircraft goes or what target that aircraft engages. So I'm interested. I know that was something that was constantly on the forums. I'm wondering if that's a mechanic that's changed. Over here you see I have a helicopter that's inbound in around 8 minutes. I'm a little bummed about that because I really want to showcase that. And I feel like this battle is going to be extremely quick. So hopefully we can kind of get that going. This should go by fairly quick. I forgot to provide a lot of movement orders to my units. So if we take a look at this infantry platoon and we just say, I just want him to advance. I gave this infantry platoon a general order to, if we come over here to our standard operating procedures, they should unload on contact. That's what that little symbol means. And then if we click that, we can put a hold on that. I don't want him executing that order right there. And then we do have two DPICM missions ready, and as you see, they are already dropping. So this is actually how. So we had a lot of gameplay going on right here. We have this first turret destroyed, and this is like our first contact. As you see, these squares are something they kept within the trailer. So if we go back to that trailer, you can see that these like area squares are still in the trailer. And then we still have some combat going on right there, and then these units should have dropped units upon first contact. I'm not sure if they actually did. Let's take a look. And then as you see, we did drop a few cluster munitions, and my main thing I'm wondering how it works is going to be the napalm. So if we go back to this video real quick and we hit play, there's really no fire or destruction. I feel like fire in this night battle is really cool. are kind of a major portion. So let's compare the infantry troops to the older version of Armor Brigade. So let's click on one of these IFVs. Let's have it dismount, unload, and then we're going to hit play. And it's going to resume. Our troops are going to dismount here in a moment. And we're going to actually have some people on the board. And then we're going to have infantry moving around, and we're going to compare our units. So let's click on our artillery. We can say this one's ready. If we wanted to launch that one, we say fire for effect. We're not going to do that yet. I don't know why that first animation was there. Maybe that was just a spotting round. And then here we have another contact. Our main battle tanks are going to engage, and as you see, there are tracers, so this is an older game. Our mech infantry did dismount, and we do have line of sight, and we should begin engaging that armored unit right there. So this is how the combat looks right now in Armor Brigade 1. I feel like that unit's suppressed and what that orange bar means, so I'm wondering how a lot of these mechanics get translated into Armor Brigade 2. So here we have our infantry. So if we zoom in really, really close, we have a mech infantry squad. This is what they look like now. This is how they move around on the map currently in Armor Brigade 1. So if we go back to this trailer real quick, we're going to go back a few screens, and we're going to watch this infantry combat once more. Alright, that's how the infantry move around at this moment. That's how the infantry move around in Armor Brigade 1. I really want to watch that again because that's really, really important. So that's really cool. And I really like all these tracers, and I really enjoy these cinematic shots because if you play a lot of Armor Brigade 1, like especially in this 3D view, you can see that this battlefield actually spans hundreds of kilometers. Yeah, at least a few hundred kilometers. And so you have tanks up here on these ridge lines providing fire support or suppressing enemies downrange. And you also have long-range tank battles going on. So if we zoom out, like our battles right now, I forgive me, but I forget the line. Is it line of sight? If we take what our average is around 1,000 meters. So maybe it's a bit more abstracted in Armor Brigade 1. So like this distance is around 1,000 meters. It does look a lot closer. So maybe that engagement was around a mile, a little less than a mile, a little more. And then we have our platoon of main battle tanks. I'm interested in knowing how the units are broken up, if there's the same command delays, if we can split these platoons. I'm also interested in learning how the formations over here are going to be integrated within Armor Brigade 2. We're going to drop our first set of dual purpose, our fire mission 2, so we can kind of compare those. We still have 5 minutes and 1 minute. So we're kind of suppressing the enemy here on this back line. We're going to wait for that 1 minute to spin out, and then we're going to compare our A10s. I wonder if there's going to be like a unit lock as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to fast forward, get that minute out. And then we are going to slow down once more. So if we pause right here, we have our A10 coming in. And like I said, the models aren't this big. So let's pause. So this is what the A10 currently looks like in Armor Brigade 1. Very obviously, up close. You can kind of follow it in if you wanted to. You can't really pan it. They get absolutely massive. I have that set. I really want to specify that because people always ask me about that. That they do not need to look like that when you actually play the game. I just have them set up like that. So let's play. We're going to watch this A10 move through, see if he identifies any targets, and he will begin engaging. And I know the way the A10s interact with the environment or how they work was not so much a complaint, but just not something a lot of players are used to. They're similar to Graviteam, where you don't have like a lot of control over which targets they engage. And as you saw, he dropped cluster munitions right there. He dropped cluster munitions right there. So we're actually going to we're going to compare the A10 models, and then we're also going to compare the cluster munitions being dropped. And so that's our current animation in ISO. It looks like this in the 3D view. So this is what it looks like in a 3D view. So before we go back to the video, let's call in. It looks like the enemy's getting kind of close, so let's get fire our first set of artillery. Let's just fire this one. We're going to say fire that one. I almost said fire all. And then we're going to begin targeting that area. We have 3 minutes for our helicopter. So we're going to speed it up just a little bit. Alright, we're going to slow back down. Oh, I forgot. I only have like a few things, like 4 or 5 right there. I think like 4 rounds, which is a major mistake. But we have plenty of DPCIM. So if we just wanted to change this and just say like a new mission, and we just say volleys like 10 or 6, and we just say fire, it's going to fire 16 rounds here in a moment. So let's go 2 minutes. We're going to fast forward. I don't want to miss anything before I go over to that video. Alright, we're going to go back to ISO and we're going to watch this in the 3D view. So this is combat in the 3D view currently in Armor Brigade 1. As you see, we have our infantry fighting vehicles and infantry engaging these armored vehicles. And then we have the dual purpose improvised cluster munitions falling in that general area on Cemetery Hill. And as you see, that's what it looks like in the 3D view. I'm still waiting for that helicopter to get online. I would like to compare the 3D animation to the 2D before I go back to the video. And that's currently what our DPCIMs look like. We're going to drop some over here in this position here in a moment. We might switch these high explosives as well. I should have maybe targeted that objective a bit more. So we're going to go back to the map. And we are, so there's some more animations. We're still moving north. We have 30 seconds. Let's just fast forward, get through that 30 seconds. Alright, now we're going to watch the helicopters in the isometric view come on deck. And this is what they look like. So if we hit play. Or we are playing. We hit fast forward, they start moving. And they're going to move into position. So let's go back out of our ISO view. And that's what they look like. Let's grab our artillery real quick. Let's click on this guy. I wonder if we can. It's not going to let us change it, but we could call in a strike right there. So we're going to say, sure. We're going to drop that one. We're going to change this one. We're going to say new mission. Or maybe we had to set target to change it. We had to hit cancel. Say new mission, set target. And we're going to drop a bunch of high explosives in this general area. I would rather have, I forgot to change the round type. That's my bad. So we'd have to cancel this once more. We'd have to say new mission. We'd have to go over here to high explosives. And then we'd have to set the target. Just like that. We have a good sized force moving in 1 minute 27 seconds. Our helicopters, so there's our first volley. So if we go back to this ISO view, the way helicopters work in Armor Brigade 1 is they use Cold War tactics. And so when I saw those helicopters bobbing up and down in Armor Brigade 2, I hope they don't go to that same mechanic. So there's some more DPICMs. And so you see we have one helicopter in this position. And what he's going to do, he's going to go up and down, up and down. That's interesting. You can't really see them. Oh, no, there they go. They're engaging, so he's engaging a target way at the back line of this city. So if we go back to our map, so overall, like the 3D view is an absolute improvement. So they don't really spot for you unless they're recon helicopters. I have a tutorial on that. So what this helicopter is doing right now is he's able to see like a mechanized vehicle, an armored vehicle, or an infantry platoon in this position. He can't spot for us, but he can engage them. So right now what's happened is one of our other units have spotted that, be it BMP-1, and they begin engaging it, and its hull's been absolutely destroyed. So if we go over here to the 3D view, that's what it looks like being destroyed. And then we still have a few more seconds for this high explosive, around 16. So if we go back to air support, you can see that our A-10s did not come back. There's only a chance for A-10s or your aerial vehicles to come back. Sometimes they do come back, sometimes they don't come back. So we could move this artillery position right here. So we were to say, go into our artillery, click on it, we say cancel, and we say new mission. And we can just change the width to be a bit smaller, a bit tighter. We set the DPCI, or the clusters, we're just going to call them clusters. And then we're going to set the target up to this general position. And then in around 1 minute and 30 seconds, we should be able to suppress that. 84 seconds. We could actually fire this one if we wanted to here in a moment. I think we need like radio. Maybe we can't see that. So that's fine. I'm not really going to try and figure that out right now. So let's alt tab. So now let's take a look at this video. Now that we have like a real strong understanding of how Armor Brigade works, how the mechanics work, how the helicopters work, how the A-10 works, and how the fighting works, we can really dissect this video, at least at the player level. And I hope that makes a lot of sense. So initially we were right here. So we played through, we have this top-down combat going on. So let's dissect this video. So let's just hit play. So here we have the 3D A-10 model. As you see, it's a massive, massive improvement. The cluster bombs in the 3D view look amazing. My concern is still how they're going to navigate or manage water within Armor Brigade. And we do have some smoke and fires. I don't see any fires burning over there, but there are some smokes over there. And then we do have our bridge right here. Right now in Armor Brigade 1, the way water is handled is it's abstracted. So when we take a look at this water, I'm wondering if units can go across it, or is it going to be abstracted again. And what I mean by that is you have to set certain crossing paths. So let's hit play. There is our MiG, and as you saw, and then here's our troop movement. I really think this is one of the standout things, the smoke, the tracers, and then the troop fighting. That looks like a massive and absolutely massive improvement. And then I already talked about this tank combat, like up here on this ridge line. Obviously, we have like tank on tank fighting. This looks to be like thousands of meters. I mean, you're firing all the way to the other side of the city. So maybe there's been improvements with some of the sensors within the game. So this in itself just looks really cool. And as you see, the roads, I mean, not a big deal. I would say like Steel Beast kind of like simulates roads like this. I mean, the roads just look janky, but that's fine. I mean, a lot of RTSs don't do roads very well unless they're like something that's important within the game. The trees are interesting too, and the hillsides. I mean, this looks like Armor Brigade. It just looks like a way better version of it. I'm kind of disappointed. I mean, there could be more textures down there. We're not going to talk too much about that. Here's more night combat. So obviously this is Cold War, so there's going to be thermals. This is interesting. There is smoke, so we didn't demonstrate smoke within Armor Brigade. So let's take a look at that. Oh, our battle's going on without us, guys. Oh my God, and we have this huge cluster. Oh my God, what is going on? So we're just going to say fire all. So we're going to high explosive this area. It looks like it's kind of popping off right here. And then as you see, these units are either suppressed or damaged. We have troops. Let's start popping smoke. So if we really wanted to, do you even have smoke to pop? I don't think this guy has smoke. That main battle tank might not have smoke. No, he does not. Either way, we're going to pop smoke down here on our IFVs just to take a look at them. Our main battle tanks do not have smoke, and so let's hit play. Let's hit resume. So we're going to drop a bunch of HEs right there. Let's go back to this 3D view. That's what smoke currently looks like. Ooh, that tank's being engaged. In the 3D view, that helicopter's moving to engage. And then there's a lot of fighting going on right here. There should be some high explosives falling onto this position right now. And then we should take Cemetery Hill. There go the high explosives. Ooh, that's actually the dual purpose clusters. Oh, there was an ATGM team in this town. That's actually a real good spot for our clusters. There's more smoke on the battlefield. That's how it's simulated in the 3D view. This main battle tank is currently getting absolutely shredded, but overall they were able to destroy that. And there's our high explosives. So this is absolutely so cool. I don't know. This is like getting me so hyped to play Armor Brigade. This is so much fun for me. And then these smokes are really cool. So let's go back to the video. And right here we're on this clip of the smoke. So as you see, this looks to be an M1 Abrams. And then we have smokes popping. So this is how smoke's going to be, or at least has improved in Armor Brigade 2. Here's this A10. I think this is really important. As you saw, here's a bit more textures. So here's like a fence around a corner. More buildings. Really, really cool. This A10 is actually firing its GAU, and it looks really cool. We're going to go through. And then obviously this is what Armor Brigade looks like in Armor Brigade 1. So it still has that same top-down look, that same top-down feel. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm wondering how the gameplay is going to translate between 2D and 3D. I mean, it's still mainly going to be controlled. Like if we go back to this, and what I mean by that, like that, is you don't really, I keep forgetting to pause this, and there's like so much fighting going on. You don't really control the battle at this 3D level. So when we're in 3D view, we're not controlling the battle. All the battles being controlled at this 2D level, or this 2D view. Oh wow, come on helicopter, shred that guy. So right here we have a T-72A absolutely shredding our infantry fighting vehicles, and this helicopter looks relatively blind. I would like for this unit to turn and face. So if we were to grab this guy, right click and say, hey buddy, can you rotate this way and engage that guy? Hit escape. I mean, we could even pull off this main tank platoon and just have them all just move to this position. I guess this helicopter is out of ammo and he can't really engage that. No, there goes a missile. Finally, I guess he's not blind. Right turret, no damage. And so we're kind of screwed with this guy in his current position until we get these M48s to turn around. We're not really in like an absolutely wonderful position. Unfortunate. This guy should be able to engage. He does have toes. He's not suppressed. I guess he's just blind. We'd have to really figure that out, why it's not working. He's turning his turret now. Let's see how this turns out. Are you still up and running? You are still up and running. He might have to fire to shoot. So we might have to give him like a stop for that to actually engage. It really depends on if we go over here. Let's say we pause right here and we take a look at the mechanics. And we click on this fighting vehicle. And we click on this. It has an ATGM. He's out of missiles. So that's what's going on. This guy has no missiles. I would like an icon for that. Anyway, we're like way off track. So as you see, are we still going to be commanding from the 2D view, or are we going to be commanding from the 3D view? All right, now we're going to go back and forth. All right, so this is really cool. Let's watch that again. This is how the clusters or high explosives, or this could be an MLRS, not quite sure, more than likely just like dual purpose cluster munitions, falling on that town. More night battles, more explosions, more clusters. So this is like dual purpose improvised clusters, as you see. Right there, and that's how they look. Not a lot of damage, not a lot of fires, and that's how it really looks. I think this is like a really important mechanic. We have fire, 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 tanks destroyed, lots of clusters driving the enemy out. I'm not really seeing a lot of new weapon systems. I mean, that looked like it was a Bradley, Heinz, Apaches, but I mean by that like white phosphorus, ATGMs, and then that's the end of the video. So yeah, that's Armor Brigade 2. That's a side-by-side comparison, and that's actually a lot more of the mechanics that I talked about. A lot of mechanics within the game, and Armor Brigade 1 is on sale right now. So, oh, one thing I'm not gonna give anyone orders. Okay, this is what I wanted to see. I hope this. Oh my God, major defeat. Oh, look at that battle. Look at that over there. Look at this map. Look how many units they had. We did not allocate appropriately. I hope the after action is still within Armor Brigade. So if we close this, oh my God, look at that. What's this guy? That's a mortar team. They have like lots. This is what I really want in Armor Brigade, or at least like a replay editor. Oh my God, we should have dropped a lot more high explosives or DPI CMs on them. Look at that. I think we were just really, really early. They probably had like the terrain advantage too. All right, so summary. And then this is what I want. So this is like our whole entire replay. I wonder if it's going to be incorporated like this, or if it's going to be like a 3D view where you can toggle between the two. I think they're a relatively small dev team, so I'm going to kind of set my expectations for the after action report. And it's just going to be like, okay. But as long as it's still in, because this is a lot of fun to watch. We can kind of see, like, dissect our mistakes. Like, right, we were doing really, really good up here. And then, like, this T-72 came down, and we didn't have any ATGMs to deal with anything. And, like right here, we had our main battle tanks get absolutely shredded and destroyed. And then we have our AAA down here. All right, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.